It's time now for weather with Nebraska Extension climatologist and Market Journal chief meteorologist Al Dutcher. And Al, we've had our fair share of fun in the sun this summer, but with crops getting into their reproductive stages, do we have any cool down or precipitation to look forward to in the coming days?
Well, we certainly have seen our first taste of the summer this past week. We've had a few days of those hot 90-degree temperatures and above, and of course the winds and the drier conditions, particularly out west, which has led to an expansion of the drought. We will get to that in a second. But more importantly, we got some very hot temperatures this weekend, very high dew points, very stressful conditions both to humans and to animals. We expect that that'll probably break as we go into early next week, but models are indicating we're going to return back to this hot and dry pattern, especially western Nebraska, as we go into late next week. The biggest concern will be eastern Nebraska as we get next week, and that will be because the dew point temperatures are going to be so extreme. They're probably going to be dealing with these heat stratus indices once again, and it, furthermore, it may even be hotter than this previous time. We'll just have to wait and see how the models project out. But overall, let's go to the models and see what we can expect as we go forward in time. Before we get to the upper air models, the latest drought monitor that was issued Thursday indicates that we've seen a dryness expansion in the high plains region, in particular Nebraska Panhandle, and would expect to see that intensify as we go into next week, barring a major precipitation event. Have seen moderate drought conditions also in southwest, south central, and northeastern Nebraska, moving down into the Omaha area. We may see some improving conditions there if we get the precipitation forecasted by the model. So let's get right to the models. And we'll see today we're dealing with that upper air trough over the northern plains in southern Canada. Get a zonal flow across Nebraska with very hot temperatures to our south. That's going to build in over the day. And we'll see temperatures well into the 90s across the southern part of the state, upper 80s, low 90s across the north. Low pressure develops over northern Kansas, but it keeps most of the moisture to the north and east of us as it converges with the cooler air to our north. As we go into tomorrow morning, we'll start to see a little wave moving across the state. Doesn't much in the way of lift, but at least there is opportunity with low pressure developing on the lee of the Rocky Mountains for us to at least get some lift in southeastern Nebraska, possibly generating some isolated to scattered thunderstorm activity. More importantly, as we get into Monday, we'll start to see a cool down from the extreme heat expected on Sunday when we see temperatures basically around the 100-degree mark in the southern part of the state. We'll see low pressure developing in northwestern Kansas. And with that cool air moving in from the north, we'll get a convergence across Nebraska to severe thunderstorm activity across the state. Best chances will be across the eastern part of the state on Tuesday. We don't see much movement in that upper air trough, so low pressure of the Texas Panhandle may lift enough moisture up to force some convergence along that cool air to the north of us, meaning thunderstorm and shower activity across the southern part of the state. Then the ridge starts to rebuild back in, and we move from cooler than normal conditions to basically normal to above normal conditions as high pressure firmly in control to our north and east. We'll still see a southerly flow bringing very humid air into our region, and that warm air will start to make its way in earnest into our region as we get into Thursday, lifting that moisture to the north with some scattered shower activity. And a little weak wave moves around that ridge on Thursday, possibly generating some thunderstorm activity as we see some of that moisture, deep moisture from the south, move up and interact with the frontal boundary. But once again, it looks very light and scattered across east, central, and southeast. On Friday, the ridge really builds to our north. Very hot conditions in store for much of the central and northern plains. Low pressure forms on this lee of the Rockies. The GFS does indicate that we'll see some heavy thunderstorm activity across eastern Nebraska. I'm not sure if that will materialize, but at least there's an opportunity there. Further out, 8 to 14 keeps the heat in place for next Thursday to the following Tuesday, with upper 90s probably well widespread. And in terms of precipitation, just a complete lack of moisture for the central and southern plains. So, Bill, looks like it's going to be a hot weekend. We get scattered thunderstorm cool down next week, early in the week, then right back to the heat, and the extended keeps that heat into the end of the month. And if you look at CPC, they're keeping hot and dry conditions in favor for the central and southern plains for the month of August.